It is John Castaneda, who, of course, went all in on himself, quit the job, focused on MMA, and got the win this past weekend. So let me know, a couple days removed, man, how are you feeling after that performance?
What's up, John? First and foremost, thanks for having me. I feel good. I feel good about the performance. Obviously, always room for improvement when it comes to either losses or wins, but we got nothing but time now. Like you said, I'm all in now. I got no full time job. I have no kids, nothing. We're fully committed. I'm right back to training tomorrow, so we're gonna stay in shape. I've done a couple interviews, and I've actually been just kind of telling myself this, that any other fight that I've ever had right around this time, which is 3-4 days after the fight, I'm usually 165 plus, kind of an unhealthier lifestyle. I woke up this morning at 153, so I'm ready to go. I'm going to stay in shape, hopefully here, train hard for a couple more months, and get another one before the summer's done.
I love it, man. That's impressive. So I want to know what your feel was like going in, right? Because this is the thing I worry about sometimes when guys do like quit a job and go all in. On the
Yeah.
one hand, you're like, man, now I'm flexible. I can do this. I can train. But on the other hand, you're like, I just put all my eggs in this basket, bro. Like, I got to get a win.
Yeah.
If I come up short, like, was it all for nothing? So I don't know. Did any of that, occur to you on fight week or leading in? Did you almost feel like more pressure almost in a way?
I felt more pressure, but not because I put all my eggs into one basket. So I think in the past, and maybe I'm speaking for other fighters as well, it's more so like a financial decision or financial stressors. But luckily for me, I kind of grew up super poor, and so I think we touched base a little bit before the fight that I was working full time for the last 6 years, and luckily enough, and I'm super blessed to have it, but that job paid really, really well. That's why it was kind of so hard to leave it, and I was willing to manage both working full time and training full time. But going back on it, I grew up very poor, so I kind of have like this mindset that I can still live, very, very much so under my, you know, I live very frugal, to say it very, very bluntly. I wear shirts still from like 10 years ago. I'm not a fancy guy at all. So I have my finances are good, are squared away. I'm very responsible with my money, and luckily my mom kind of instilled that in me. So it was a lot of pressure for sure, but it wasn't financial reasons. So for me, it was more so, this is what I'm choosing to do as a career full time now. And this is, where all of my energy has been put into for the last 6-7 months. I quit my job. I went to Thailand for 3.5 months to start a camp. That was obviously an investment, not only financially, but physically, emotionally, everything. And then I come back home and I put in another couple months of hard time and energy into this sport, this career, and to go in there and kind of put all of those eggs into a basket and not get the outcome that I want would have been absolutely like terrible for sure. But luckily we got the win. A little bit less nerves and less anxious. Now I know that I made the right decision, and now we move forward to the next one.
I love it. Well, listen, you fought a tough guy, man. No question about it. Muin Gafurov, very, very tough. It gave you a fight. Give me your thoughts overall on how you performed versus your expectations, and kind of what he presented that maybe you were expecting or weren't.
Yeah, so I was definitely expecting a tough fight against Gafurov, but I wasn't expecting him to come out so aggressively every single round and be able to keep up that pace, through the entire fight. I think when I first found out about that Gafurov fight, my mindset immediately said to myself, okay, he's going to be in not as good shape as you because he's taking the fight on short notice. But it was maybe 3 or 4 days before the fight that I was like, you shouldn't be thinking like that, dude. Imagine and think that this guy has been training for a short notice fight hard as hell for the last however many weeks, and he's going to come out there conditioned. And I'm glad I did do that, because it didn't surprise me then when he did come out strong every single round. He was in there. He was in my face. He was throwing bombs, and that's kind of I definitely didn't expect that either. I've watched a lot of his fights, and he's definitely a heavy-handed fighter, but it was never constant. It was heavy hands here, heavy hands there, wrestle, heavy hands. I saw nothing but heavy hands for 15 minutes straight. You know what I mean? So for me, it was kind of cool, like being able to kind of just use my eyes to evade a lot of them and kind of just defend a lot of them. obviously I took some on the chin, but we're conditioned and we were ready to return fire. So it was a good learning experience, and fighting a guy like that was definitely a good for my career. Now I know what it feels like to get pushed by a power striker for 15 minutes straight. So
Yeah, no doubt, man. It was pretty relentless action. The headbutt, did it affect you at all? I mean, did that bother you in any way?
more so emotionally than anything. I actually it didn't do any physical damage. It did connect, but I was more so like irritated because I could sense the sense of like urgency from him. Like he was obviously just, it was nonstop. Like he wanted to get me out of there, and he was so aggressive about it. And like I understand that part, but then to like get lost in your own feelings to the point where you're now like going for illegal shots, it just kind of pissed me off. And I was just like, what are you doing, dude? Like, come on, calm yourself. You're a fucking, sorry, you're a professional athlete. Like, chill out. But I get it. You know what I mean? There was a lot riding on him. I'm trying to be a little bit, trying to put myself in his shoes and his mindset. And I get it, man. Like I saw a retweet from Dana White. Like he had a stadium full of like 40,000 people or something like that, like watching him and his cousin or his training partner, whatever it was, like making his debut. So, I can't imagine the nerves that he was feeling, and the UFC was doing their job, obviously pushing him, and someone with a big following like that. So, he's got a lot of nerves too. So I can't blame him at the same time, but it was kind of irritating.
It's a weird situation, right? Because like when you go in there in the cage, like that guy has to be your sworn enemy. But at the end of the day, like you guys are all doing the same thing, right? You're all chasing the same dream. You all have the same passion. You're making the same sacrifices. Yeah. So it's like you want to hate the guy, but at the end of the day, you can relate to the guy too.
For sure, man. Absolutely. 100%. And I think that's just kind of what being a martial artist is. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's all about respect. But being able to put yourself in other people's shoes is huge. And I've never really been big on that my entire life. But this past like year, I've been really in tune with my own feelings and emotions, and being able to kind of put myself in other people's shoes. So I get it. I understand why he did it and where it came from, for sure.
That's funny. All right, so we talked about kind of what going all in was like before the fight. So what's going all in like after the fight? Because you talked about the weight and that sort of thing, but I mean, normally right now you'd be like back at work, back at the job, right? But you don't have anywhere to go to. So I mean, is that relieving? Is it a little weird to just be like, I can just stay home?
It's definitely a little weird for sure, and relieving at the same time. I think that it just so happens that my brother's graduation party, he just graduated high school. His graduation party is this Saturday. So I told myself like, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna get back in the gym. I'm gonna do some workouts and kind of keep my metabolism going, keep my my energy, keep wasting energy and using burning calories through these workouts and stuff like that, keeping busy. But then going to my family's on Thursday and spending some time with my family Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then next week, boom, right back at it full time. Training twice a day, doing all the right things with the diet and all that stuff. And, hopefully get one more fight here before the summer ends. I think that with me being lighter all the time and being in shape more often is going to lead me to have more fights, just because I can take those short notice fights, 2 to 6 weeks out, whatever it might be. I've had probably, since I gotten signed to the UFC, I've probably had 3 or 4 fight opportunities that I've had to decline because I'm either like not in shape or I'm too heavy. And now that's not going to be a problem. Now there's a lot of bantamweight fighters, and a lot of bantamweight fights kind of don't go through all the time. And so with there being fight cards every single weekend for the next 4 months, there's going to be some fights that are falling through, and I'm going to be one of those names at the top of the list, ready to take them.
I love it, man. That's a great way to look at it. Are you circling anything like you said before the end of summer? I mean, is it like, hey, I want to come back out and fight in Vegas? Or are there any cities on the calendar you're like, that's where I want to go, I want to perform there?
No, nothing specifically in a sense of like on the calendar or cities, but I want to fight in front of people. Like I got signed to the UFC during COVID. So my first 2 fights were under like super strict, like quarantining and no fans, no personnel, whatever. And then my next 2 fights after that were like closed audiences with limited people. And, even just like the fight nights here, like it's only like personnel and just like a handful of people. So I want to fight in front of people. I don't care who I fight, when I fight. I think that you could maybe agree and a lot of other people would agree that I have an entertaining style, and I'm willing to stand in the fire in exchange on a lot of these fights. And I think that that's fan friendly. And I think that I remember fighting in front of fans, and I love fighting in front of fans. I thrive. At the end of the day, I feel like I'm an entertainer, and I thrive off of people's like reactions and emotions and stuff like that. And I feel like I would do really well in front of people.
I love it. Yeah, I definitely would not disagree with that at all. I think that would be great. So hopefully that happens. Well, John, I appreciate the time, man. Like I said, people say all the time, bet on yourself, bet on yourself. That's exactly what you did. Step one paid off. And now if you can start taking some short notice fights and racking up these victories, you can continue to see the dividends, man. So congrats on that. And hopefully the next one's in front of an audience.
I hope so. I hope so, John. And if it is, I hope you're there to watch.
I appreciate it, brother. All right, man. Enjoy the time. Enjoy the family. We'll talk again soon.
All right, John. Appreciate you.